Welcome to this explainer. Let's just jump right in, because today we're unpacking a deeply counterintuitive truth about our modern hustle culture. You know the drill. We're constantly told to grind, to chase, to aggressively hunt down our goals. But what if the very act of chasing is exactly what's pushing your goals further away? Well, that's what we call the looking paradox.
So think about this for a second. Why does what we want most always seem to run away from us? Think about how exhausting it is to relentlessly pursue happiness or love or even professional success. It's honestly like trying to catch a shadow, right? The faster you run toward it, the faster it moves away. And it just leaves us depleted, burnt out, and wondering what on earth we're doing wrong.
This brilliantly illustrates our big idea for today. It's captured perfectly by the ancient philosopher Lao Tzu, who said, "Stop leaving and you will arrive. Stop searching and you will see. Stop running away and you will be found." It's this timeless piece of wisdom that tells us true fulfillment doesn't actually come from some relentless, exhausting pursuit. It comes from stillness.
Act 1, the context. Let's look at Papa's take on the uncluttered mind.
To bring this ancient philosophy into our modern lives, we really have to understand the looking paradox. Basically, it's a phenomenon where intense, direct searching creates this intense tunnel vision. We call it the mental focus trap. When you look way too hard for something, your attention narrows so severely that you become completely blind to the obvious clues sitting right in front of you. But when you stop the search, that actually allows the thing you want find you.
Our guiding author, Papa, notes that an uncluttered mind is essentially a magnet for meaning. This is absolutely crucial. We want to emphasize that incredible aha moment when your mind finally unclutters, when you stop obsessively shaking the snow globe of your thoughts and just let everything settle. Your true desires naturally start arriving right on your doorstep.
To really anchor this idea, let's look at the memory of Papa's late father, Papa Q-Bear. He perfectly embodied the quiet power of living with dignity. Papa Q-Bear showed us that we shouldn't be out there desperately and loudly chasing validation. Instead, we should just live with quiet dignity. Because when you're rooted in who you are, the things you actually need begin to gravitate toward you organically.
Act 2, the tension. Let's dive into the evidence behind this paradox.
Now, we aren't just talking about abstract philosophy here. There's real cross-disciplinary evidence for this. Take the 19th century philosopher Henry Sidgwick. He coined the fundamental paradox of egoistic hedonism. Basically, to attain maximum pleasure, you actually have to put it out of sight and aim at something else entirely. Sidgwick realized that the deliberate, systematic pursuit of pleasure actually destroys the pleasure itself. You end up focusing so much on getting the feeling that you completely miss having the feeling.
We see this exact same concept from a psychological survival standpoint. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust, famously wrote, "Happiness cannot be pursued, it must ensue." Frankl realized that human beings need a reason, a real purpose to be happy, much like we need a reason to laugh. You can't just force yourself to be happy any more than you can force a joke to be funny. The purpose has to come first.
Which brings us to a really touching story about a Marine named Alfredo. Alfredo survived a horrific tumbling car crash. But here's the thing, he didn't find his profound sense of resilience by desperately seeking his own happiness after the trauma. Instead, he found it by choosing to create comfort for others. Specifically, he cracked a joke to make a notoriously grumpy master sergeant laugh. By focusing on lightening the load for someone else, his own happiness naturally ensued. Let's move on to neediness versus true status and the sociology of connection. This paradox absolutely dictates human connection and romance too. Author Mark Manson draws a really sharp contrast between neediness and non-neediness. Neediness is when you try to manipulate outcomes just to get validation. Honestly, it's like using a high-pressure sales tactic on another human being. It just repels them. Non-neediness, on the other hand, is trusting your own perception and your authentic self. You aren't trying to force anything, which paradoxically makes you incredibly attractive. The crucial point here is how this plays out through what psychologists call the assortment effect. Needy behaviors attract needy, dysfunctional relationships. But authentic, open intentions, they attract genuine, supportive people. Ultimately, your true status is determined by inward-driven behavior, not desperate external displays. We literally attract the exact emotional energy that we project into the world.
Act 3, the connection.
Let's bring this paradox into your daily life.
So let's apply these high-level theories directly to the professional world, specifically looking at the halo effect.
Take hiring committees, for example. Often, they look strictly for elite brand names or perfect, shiny resumes. By looking so intensely for the superficial marker of success, they become blind to reality. They completely miss out on authentic, resourceful talent sitting right across the table because they're trapped by their own tunnel vision.
When it comes to love and companionship, we can look to the example of Papa's spouse, Colonel Depps. True companionship arrives like a butterfly on a still shoulder. Think about it. If you're running around aggressively swinging a net trying to catch a butterfly, you're going to scare them all away. But if you stand still, cultivate your own garden, and just be, that profound love lands gracefully on its own.
I want you to think of your mind as a muddy jar of water. If you keep shaking it, constantly searching, relentlessly pursuing, stressing over every outcome, the water stays murky. You literally can't see a thing. But the exact moment you experience that aha moment, when you set the jar down and stop shaking it, the dirt settles. The water becomes perfectly clear. That uncluttered mind is the exact environment where you finally see what you've been looking for all along.
The synthesis, letting it find you.
Let's turn all these metaphors into concrete, actionable takeaways. Here are 3 ways to unclutter your pursuit today. First, cultivate dignity and purpose. Just let happiness ensue on its own as a byproduct. Second, practice non-neediness by investing deeply in yourself rather than begging for external validation. And third, stop forcing outcomes. Let your subconscious recognize reality without the tunnel vision of desperation. This right here is your guide to breaking free from the exhaustion of modern hustle culture. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with Papa's final thought. Stop looking for respect. Start looking for ways to add value. When you shift your focus outward, when you actively seek to lighten the load for others rather than desperately trying to inflate your own ego, the very things you're seeking, like respect, happiness, and meaning, will naturally gravitate toward you.
So, I'll leave you with this lingering question. What will you stop looking for this year so that it can finally find you? Take some time to think about your own mental clutter. Think about setting down that muddy jar of water. Let the dirt settle, let your mind unclutter. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I truly hope you find exactly what you need by finally letting it find you.